Hi guys, welcome to week 5. We are more than halfway through our class, which it's very hard for me to believe already. But last week we talked about the importance of running records when you want to look at children's reading skills and strategies that they use. Well, this week we're going to answer the question, so now what? We have this data from the running record. How are we going to use that to plan for effective instruction for our students? So at this point, I want to talk about Chapter 1 in our text. I would like for you to review that. What is guided reading? And pay particular attention to figure 111 on page 30, the elements of guided reading. The next chapter that we're looking at this week is chapter 5, which is planning for effective guided reading lessons. And there are specific steps when you are planning for guided reading. Now, Fountas and Pinnell, the authors of our text, are the gurus of guided reading. Step 1, you're assessing your readers to form groups. Step 2, select and analyze texts for those groups. Figure 5.8 on page 108 gives you guidelines for selecting texts. Step 3 is where we introduce the text to the children. And I would like for you to carefully read pages 112 and 113 of that transcript. When you are introducing a book to your guided reading group, you want to make sure that you're using academic language in that introduction. For example, you say to the students, we are going to preview this book today, rather than we're going to take a picture walk. It's very important to use academic language with our students, and they can begin that in kindergarten. Step 4 is you're going to observe and interact as students read the text individually. During guided reading, every child is reading that book at that table, but not at the same time. They aren't at the same place at the same time. It's not a choral reading of the book. It's not popcorn reading. It's the teacher may tap one student to begin reading and listen in to a couple pages and tap somebody on the other side of the table to begin reading. Then go back to the first side of the table so that the students that are sitting beside each other are not reading the same pages at the same time. Step 5 is to invite students to discuss the text. Step 6 is making teaching points. And at the end, we can always engage students in letter or word work. And an optional step is to have them write or draw about the reading. You're going to be reading chapter 10, using assessment to form dynamic groups and document reading progress. Chapter 12 is creating a collection of texts to support literacy learning. And chapter 13 is the Fountas and Pinnell text gradient. Now, as you are aware, there are many, many videos of guided reading that you can find on YouTube. A word of caution. Not all of those videos are good models to follow. So after this reading, you're going to have the research behind the guided reading. And it is an important instructional practice, not only in elementary school, but also into middle school. Your lesson focus and text are different, but the format of that guided reading lesson is the same. Once you master that format and pair it with the art of listening to and interpreting your students' learning, you will quickly see results of their learning. Going back to page 30 in our text, it gives you from the beginning to the end those elements of the lesson. You're going to watch this guided reading lesson, which is a primary grade, and we have a grade 5. Here are some additional supplemental resources for you to check out. Here's our reading assignments. And your discussion forum for this week is you're going to introduce a book to the child with whom you're working. To plan for this lesson, please use this lesson plan form below, right here. Choose a book to use either from your local library, a school library, or Reading A to Z. This needs to be a book that the child can read with some support. Using the knowledge you gained from the text, plan your book introduction and implement it with your child. You're not planning an entire guided reading lesson this week. All you are planning is just the introduction. And a book introduction should be no more than 5 minutes in length. So what I did when I was teaching, I would write out my book introduction. And I would practice that before that guided reading group was coming to see me, so that I wasn't stumbling over things. I knew exactly how it was going to go. You may want to do that. Practice it. You need to videotape yourself teaching the introduction and post the lesson plan and the video on the discussion board. If you have any questions, please ask. I look forward to seeing your videos and listening to your book intros. Thank you.